Thank you so much, Leyte Normal University, College of Business, Management, and Entrepreneurship for the opportunity to be your resource person in your webinar today. Ahead, I would like to thank your advisors, your teachers, the student officers who are behind of this event. Of course, to all of you who are participating today. And of course, in general, for initiating this activity. And based on the invitation I received, I should be talking about the new normal practices, operation in bar and beverage industry. And the theme of your webinar is embracing innovative ways in bar and beverage industry. So to start with my discussions or talk, I wanted to start this one with a topic, the F&B business best practices for the business to be able to thrive in the new normal. We already know that the food and beverage business is one of the hardest hit by the COVID pandemic. In order to continue to survive and thrive in the post-pandemic period, the food and beverage operators must start with operational strategies that are in line with the new normal for them to be able to sustain and survive. And as a restaurant or bar, resume and continue its operation in most areas in our country. IATF outlined guidelines following considerations for ways in which operators can reduce risk of employees, customers, and communities and slow the spread of the virus. Restaurants and bar can determine in collaboration with the national and local health officials whether and how to implement these considerations, making adjustments to make the needs and circumstances of the local community. Implementation should be guided by what is feasible, what is acceptable, and tailored to the needs of each community. These considerations are meant to supplement, not to replace, but supplement any national, local, territorial, or tribal health and safety laws, rules, and regulations with which must businesses comply, of course. First, best practice is best practice in health and cleanliness. Employees' health and cleanliness are very crucial. If we think about health, or health is the topic, it's very common to relate it with cleanliness. In this era, customers will be very careful in choosing a restaurant to dine in or to enjoy a drink. And the cleanliness of a restaurant or bar is one aspect that shows that your restaurant or your business is safe to visit. The reason why we should rely and pay attention to this aspect of health and cleanliness is, of course, for customers' experience. We must ensure that customers feel safe when they are visiting our bar or restaurant to dine in or just to enjoy a drink. Perform temperature checks on employees, not only on customers, and if possible, make your employees, most especially those who are on the front line, to wear the prescribed PPE, the protective health equipment. Second best practice for the survival of the F&B business is best practice in food hygiene. Another aspect that we really need to pay attention to is food hygiene. As a restaurant or a bar, the quality of food is the number one, and it's only natural that restaurants pay great attention to the quality of the food we are selling. Especially at this time, we have to take great care of customers' experience because we don't want bad reviews about food hygiene in our restaurants. Most especially, dali na lang karon mag-run sa social media. Dali na lang karon ma-post ang review sa inyong business. And make sure food containers, utensils, and others are clean and sanitized. Do not touch food with your bare hands, and as much as possible, use food tongs. All employees must practice hand hygiene and respiratory etiquette, or require frequent employee hand washing in as much as possible before, during, and after preparing food, after touching the garbage, or if there are deliveries. Of course, wash the hands with soap and at least 20 seconds, and increase the monitoring if they're regularly adhering this. Ensure gloves are worn by employees when they are completing these activities. Removing garbage bags or handling and disposing of trash is one. Handling used or dirty food service item, that's another. Cleaning and disinfecting surfaces. Of course, you need to follow the direction on every label on how to use properly the disinfectants that we are buying. Employees should always wash their hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds after removing their gloves. Dili kay naka-gloves man ko sir, ma'am, di na ko maghugas. Encourage employees to cover their cough. When they are coughing and sneezing, cover it with tissue. Use the elbow side, okay? Use the tissue. Ang mga gamit na tissues, you need to throw this to the trash, and again, frequently do the hand wash right after. If soap and water are not readily available for hand washing, use hand sanitizers that contains at least 60% of alcohol. Employees should avoid touching their eyes, nose, mouth, in general, the face, with gloved or unwashed hands. Third best practice for business survival of F&B. Best practice in social distancing. In days before the pandemic, this was not something we should pay close attention to. However, because social distancing is one of the things to prevent the transmission of COVID-19, we must also pay attention to this. Back again to the customer's experience. Implementing good social distancing and complying with the advice of the authorities can make customers feel safe when they dine in your bar or restaurants. Even after more than a year from the time that we have experienced pandemic, many restaurants still don't see how important it is to keep the protocols enforced by the authorities. It's not just about keeping the virus from spreading. F&B operators also have to look ahead to the impact of ignoring protocols implemented by the authorities. In as much as possible, we need to educate employees and customers about importance of social distancing, using posters and audio messages for them to be reminded. Avoid product display that leads for the crowds, for a bigger crowd together. The more an individual interact with others, and the longer they interact with others, the higher the risk of COVID-19 spread. Masks may reduce the risk of COVID-19 spread when they are consistently used by customers and employees, especially when social distancing measures are difficult to maintain. The risk of COVID-19 spread increases in a restaurant or bar setting as interaction within 6 feet of other increases. Masks may reduce the risk of COVID-19 spread when worn in any of these risk scenarios, such as lowest risk, food service limited to drive-through, delivery, take-out, and curb picked up. Another is more risk, drive-through delivery, take-out, and curbside pickup emphasized. On-site dining limited to outdoor sitting, sitting capacity reduced to allow tables to be spaced at least 6 feet apart. And on the higher risk, on-site dining with indoor seating capacity reduced to allow tables to be spaced at least 6 feet apart, and or on-site dining with outdoor setting but tables do not or are not spaced properly with the 6 feet apart. And the highest risk is on-site dining with indoor sitting capacity not reduced, and tables not spaced at least 6 feet apart. COVID-19 is mostly spread when people are physically near a person with COVID-19 or have direct contact with that person. When people with COVID-19 cough, sneeze, sing, talk, or breathe, they produce respiratory droplets. Infections occur mainly through exposure to respiratory droplets when a person is in close contact with someone who has COVID-19. There is evidence that under certain conditions, people with COVID-19 seems to have infected others who were more than 6 feet away. This is called airborne transmission. These transmissions occurred when enclosed spaces that had inadequate ventilation. That's why air-conditioned dining is prohibited. Available data indicate that it is much more common for the virus that causes COVID-19 to spread through close contact with a person who has COVID-19 than through the airborne transmission. Respiratory droplets can also land on surfaces and object. It is possible that a person could get COVID-19 by just touching the surface or object that has the virus in it and then touching their own eyes, mouth, ears. Spread from touching surfaces is not thought to be a common way that COVID-19 spreads. But however, we need to do extra careful, again, because we have to think of a customer's experience and we need to think as well with the welfare of our employees. Fourth best practice is best practice in takeaway and delivery. This is one of the best ways today to be able to keep customers from buying food from your bar or restaurants, from your beverage business, and to make your business alive. Restrictions on eating in certain places and areas make it difficult for all restaurants to sell their food. Provide special pick-up zones for customers or a drive-thru. Make sure the cooler box on the motorbike for delivery is cleaned and sanitized. Ensure that delivery time and food temperature are well maintained. Delivery and takeout orders have been increasing significantly since COVID-19 started. We have data. I was able to read the data along with when I was asked to deliver this topic. Based on the data, this will be our next strategies because changes in numbers of order, say for example, 12% increase in the number of orders on weekdays, while 18% increase in the number of lunch orders, 3% increase in the number of dinner orders, as weekend loses its meaning. Study shows that people order more on weekdays and lunch, completely different from what usually happens before pre-pandemic. You might want to reevaluate your staff, your inventories, and your operations. 1.3 times higher chance of getting orders from new customers on weekend. That's the study. As ordering delivery and takeout is now part of people's everyday life. Customers are taking the opportunity to try ordering from restaurants that they never had a chance to eat bought from before. These new customers place 8% more order than the average, and they tend to order higher value items. People prefer to order delivery from the restaurants. A study of consumer sentiments towards restaurants' delivery fees shows that people prefer to order directly from a restaurant compared to the third-party service. I know you get my point. What are those third-party food delivery services? It was influenced by the minimum order amounts, delivery fees, coupon value, and the delivery service provider itself. These studies suggest that restaurants should establish appropriate framing for their delivery costs. They need to be unified. Fifth, best practice for food and beverage business survival is always monitor your operation. Of course, all of the above that I mentioned has been described that we cannot guarantee that all employees, all our workers, will follow the SOPs that we set inside of our restaurants or bar. Carrying out daily inspection or audit is necessary for this, but we know that inspections are very consuming and laborious to do on a daily basis, especially if you run a restaurant or bar or a beverage business with many branches. Restaurants and bars may consider implementing several strategies to maintain healthy operations, such as protection for employees at higher risk for severe illness from COVID-19. These mga lagas na, these mga tigulang, they are prone for higher risk. Offer options for this type of employees at higher risk for severe illness, including older adults and people of all ages with certain underlying medical condition that limits their exposure to risk. Modified job responsibilities such as managing inventory rather than working as a cashier in front, or managing administrative paperwork rather than being the front line in the dining service. Another is consistent with applicable law. Develop policies to protect the privacy of person that has the higher risk in accordance with applicable privacy and confidentiality laws and regulation to protect, of course, our workers or employees. Be aware of our local and national policies and recommendations related to group gathering to determine if events can be held. Take note, Christmas parties are around the corner. Christmas is just few weeks from now. Staggered or rotated shift and settings. Rotate or stagger shift to limit the number of your employees in the restaurant or bar at the same time. This will help for the spread of the virus. Stagger and limit dining times to minimize the number of customers inside of the establishment. And when possible, use flexible work sites and flexible work hours to help establish policies and practices for social distancing between employees and others, especially if social distancing is recommended by the local government unit, by the national authorities. Let's go back to gatherings. As I mentioned a while ago, Christmas is just around the corner and therefore Christmas party are being planned. Avoid group events, gatherings, or meetings where social distancing of at least 6 feet between people who do not live in the same household if this cannot be maintained. Of course, we have the IATF policy for this one. But of course, so friends, we are now vaccinated. Okay, given you are now vaccinated, but once you go home, the kids inside of your house are not vaccinated. You might be a carrier of the virus, passing it to the innocent child. Okay? Encourage employees to use transportation option also to minimize the spread of the virus by using bike or car alone without other family members. Okay? And you need to back up staffing plan. Okay, because we have encountered that may quarantine. And monitor absenteeism of employees across trained staff and create roster of those trained staff, and you need to have a backup staff. Train all employees in safety actions. Conduct training virtually or ensure that social distancing is maintained during the training. And of course, recognize signs and symptoms within the work or the team, the members of your business. Conduct daily health check. This is important. And of course, if there is observable symptoms, then prohibit a certain employee to come to work. And of course, have other people who are skilled to replenish the number of people needed. Okay, and encourage employees to talk with people they trust about their concerns and how they are feeling. The biggest problem that we have, because we have this stigma that they're afraid to tell because they will be judged. Okay? And to wrap up or to give you the highlight of all these things that I have discussed, please watch this. Now, let's proceed to the second topic. Ways bar technology is changing the ways we drink and socialize. Bars and restaurants have embraced the latest technologies with enthusiasm, and their readiness is easy to understand. Bar technology has the potential to modernize one of the oldest trades. Even the most capable manager needs support, and industry-specific software enables them to check inventory and compile sales report with far less difficulty. Of course, patrons benefit as well. Beyond the value of technology engagement for management, recent innovations have changed the way customers enjoy their experience when drinking with friends and family. Customer-facing technology has created an engaging atmosphere which feels unique and personal, making for more memorable visits and positive reviews. Most importantly, it is engaging this time because of pandemic for a cashless transaction. So what does bar technology look like, and what are some examples of their implementation? What advantage do patrons and management professionals gain from the integration of new system and software? We'll answer those questions and others like them, exploring bar tech in greater detail. First is the digital menus and trivia tablets. Touchscreen monitors are an adaptable bar technology with a diverse range of applications. Customers can browse a digital version of menu and order what they want without speaking with a server, simplifying the ordering process for everyone involved. It doesn't replace wait staff but allows them to cover more tables and more clients and guests. Because the format of the menu allows for more pictures, longer descriptions, and automatic prompts to upsell customers. They are an attractive tool for managers hoping to earn for a higher profit for their bar and restaurants. These monitors also serve as secondary purpose for trivia nights. Since digital menus can double as trivia tablets, customer can use them to enter their answers and follow an automated scoring system. It's far more convenient than the old school, pen and paper method which many patrons accustomed to. Second is what we call self-serve beer tap. Josh Goodman, the founder of Pour My Beer, is at the forefront of the self-serve revolution. His company supplies establishments with unique machines that allow patrons to pour their own beer. Though the concept is simple, it's a groundbreaking innovation in the way that bars distribute drinks to their customers more conveniently and much faster. The self-serve beer tap functions using a radio frequency enabled a microchip inside a card. A microchip receives the requisite information, which the self-serve tap recognizes, and the cycle is complete when the encrypted data travels back from the machine to the card. The actual process is far less complex when you're actually watching it. A patron only needs to touch with their card, pairing the chip to the sensor, and then you can pour their own drinks, deducting it from the chip's data, which cards come from preloaded with 2 drinks and is loaded again with customer recharges the chip. This accounts for their safety and prevents overserving. It's just like an ATM, but for the beer. Third is robotic delivery system. 2 bars in the United States are beta testing a new innovation in bar technology to improve the order and delivery drinks. Tokyo Kitty, Cincinnati karaoke bar, has incorporated a robot which assists the serving customers. It isn't typical robot but a tray which the bartender loads the drink that moves through the bar's ceiling via pulley system. While this type of simplified delivery is still in its early stages, it might see a greater adoption in countries across the world if the system proves popular. Of course, it has a distinct appeal, especially in establishments with rooms reserved for private parties. Other karaoke bars like Tokyo Kitty will likely see the benefits for that one. It's also exciting to consider how other bars will take advantage of their vertical space, while managers will have to account for a number of different factors, like whether their building supports a pulley system within ceiling. They can use Tokyo Kitty design as model to replicate or to follow or to pattern. Fourth, digital beer boards, bars, and breweries are beginning to replace their standard beer boards with digital equivalents. These digital beer boards serve the same purpose as their predecessors, but have a few key benefits which have captured the attention of business owners. To start, they save a considerable amount of time and ample time to understand this. Staff members no longer have to erase a chalkboard and write their additions every time or from time to time, every opening and closing. Whenever they wanted to update the board. Whenever they have a new brand of beer, they can instantly enter it into their existing selection. Furthermore, a digital beer board is clear and legible, easy for customers reading. Of course, managers have seen the financial advantage of this. What I'm mentioning is the beer board. Increasing orders by 3 to 5%, imagine that, on average, regardless of their beer bar's aesthetic, whether it's modern, traditional, or something else entirely, they'll find a graphic for their board's background which agrees the rest of the decor or that complements the interior of their bar. Fifth is bar inventory software. As mentioned earlier, even the most capable manager needs support. During the busiest days of the week, when crowds of customers are just, of course, flocking all over for position of the bar, every member of the staff has to perform at their best. More than that, the system which processes information at the bar needs to function. Fortunately, of course, management's professionals have software which simplify their responsibilities. With the implementation of programs for streamlined administration, they can check their inventory, direct employees, order new stocks, price product, balance financial books, and produce and analyze sales report. Imagine that. When managers delegate some of their smaller administrative tasks, duties, or obligations to program, they are free to focus on what's in front of them. This results in better service for the customer and fewer errors na iba na ang mga sayop on the part of those operating the business. Bar inventory software is virtually indispensable in this regard. Moving forward, the future digital menus and beer boards, robotic delivery system, and management software are all changing the way business owners operate their bars and restaurants this time. These technologies and other similar solutions have made a substantial difference for staff and customers alike. Each passing year brings something new to the table. With this in mind, of course, it's exciting, it's thrilling to speculate what the industry most innovative minds will serve up next in the next coming years, in the next generation. But for now, of course, we are adapting based on the need and based on the crisis of the COVID-19. This is the last topic that I have for you all. I hope so you have learned something. I know it's very short. How I wish and how I pray to talk and discuss things in front of you, because I feel like it's better iba good luck I can feel it and I can sense it that iba good luck kung ikaw mismo at maatubang and you can see me physically and I can see your eyes while I'm discussing topics. And of course, It's also different on my end this time that I'm just only facing the camera. I am more conscious and I am more tense, to be honest with you. I hope so. Magkirigta kita sa kabeses yan. Some of these days. Once everything is fine, of course, I would like to encourage everyone to be vaccinated. Don't stop because we are challenged this time of learning. Let's take the advantages along the way. Though there are several disadvantages, but I said, I keep on saying this to every schools and colleges I'm asked to speak. Let's hone your knowledge while you are at home. Hone your skills, develop, aim for that diploma, and once everything is fine, we will continue to fight. And of course, COVID-19 should not put our education at halt, and of course, it should not put our life in pause. We should pursue, we should continue. And everyone, and everybody in advance, I would like to say Merry Christmas and hope to see you soon. Ang Ting Kanunay, thank you.